Hello everyone and welcome back to Southern Wealth. I'm a little bit in a different setup yet again, but I'll be trying to record as I promised. If you do enjoy the content, please consider drop that like and subscribe. It greatly helps the channel, so thank you very much for your support. Now, I knew that there was gonna be some censorship going around in Google and YouTube, but to be honest, the things that I've seen as of late has been completely crazy. So for you to have an idea, I was actually attending a live stream and I made a comment to the nature of, countries should have their own borders and you shouldn't have either party allowing, limitless immigration, particularly of the illegal kind. This was deemed very harsh, and my comment, which was always the same, kept being deleted. This is the level of where we are, just challenging the idea that, a country should have borders, which was something that up until 10 minutes ago, everybody kind of agreed, all of a sudden is now a big red flag on YouTube and for Google. Congratulations to the modern world of freedom, right? I, I thought we were the beacon of freedom. I guess the freedom depends if you say the things that certain people want to hear, then you are allowed everything. If you say things that, as much common sense as they can carry, they will be deemed hate speech or whatever. This is the world we live in, and this will only get worse. You see, freedom gets taken a little bit at a time, just like the principle of the frog in the heating water, right? You don't boil it right away. If you try to throw a frog into a pile of boiling water, he will immediately jump. But if you slowly but surely increase the temperature until the water is boiling, the frog will never jump out. And that is basically what's been happening with us across all metrics, both in our social life, in our economic life, via taxes and regulations. It's all the same. But in any case, once again, what good is it to complain? Unfortunately, I cannot change it. Unfortunately, it's not up to me. So what I can try and do, predict what these people will do, and try to benefit myself so I can attain that financial freedom so desirable in order to basically then maybe pick a location on the globe to live that kind of protects me for all these from all these nightmarish and all this degradation of societies, which unfortunately, if you read a little bit of history, they tend to continue and eventually collapse entire worlds and entire empires, entire dominant powers, whatever you want to call it. But in any case, jumping around from this, stocks last week did very, very well. Once again, the Bitcoin bottom at 48 something seems to be accurate. And once again, what did we do with Bitcoin a few days ago? We tested the 50 simple moving average. The 50 weekly simple moving average. We tested it. It was around 52,250, and we jumped straight from there. All of a sudden, people seem to think that, but you see, that is boring. If I just come here and I say, yeah, we just retested one of the most important moving averages, which tends to happen frequently during bull markets, and then we went straight up. But you see, that part, it doesn't sell, right? So I need to say, oh my God, Bitcoin is crashing because the DOJ is selling on the background. Or, oh my God, Bitcoin is rallying because the Russians are buying in secret, right? So I always need to come up with a story, or, oh, Bitcoin is up because macroeconomic, because there's less tensions in the Middle East. But then, Bitcoin crashes all of a sudden. Oh my God, this is because, it's just, look at the charts. They will tell you the news ahead of time. The cycle is repeating. That's all we're doing. As I mentioned, I think what's happening now is we're pricing in rate cuts. Once again, the Russell outperforms when that's the case because it underperforms when the opposite is true, when rates are going higher. That's it. We've been covering that ad nauseum here in the channel, so you guys are perfectly aware. As I mentioned, next week is the FOMC meeting. I would much rather have a 25 basis points Why? Because when we have if the first rate cut is 50 basis points, on average, we go down 15%, 1.5. When the rate cut is 25 basis points, on average, we go up 11 or 12%. And also, basically, you'd be signaling to the market that there are much worse things going on in the background, and you are actually starting to lose control, which would be a very negative message to the market, and I think they would start to price in a much harsher recession that people expected. Furthermore, you leave less room for further rate cuts expectations, meaning if you cut 50 from now, probably it's less likely that you're going to cut as aggressively the following month. So the market will probably price that in. In any case, 25 or 50, I think it's both cases are a sell the news event. However, the magnitude and the duration of it will depend on which size is going to be. So far, I still think, as you guys know, Q3 2025 seems to be the most likely one for the top in Bitcoin. Then Ethereum tends to top a little bit later, and altcoins top a little bit after Ethereum. That's typically how it goes. Will it be front run? It's anybody's guess. I saw some strength in September. Actually, September is now currently, for a while, a green month. My expectation is that we have some sort of pullbacks here and there, even if we finish green the month, which I think is perfectly possible. Although September is notorious for being a trashy month for crypto, I don't see we finishing the month, plus 20% or anything like that. But I've been wrong before, in the sense that this cycle has seemed to have front run a few of the movements, with the meme coins going first. I think the Bitcoin having bullish movement also was a bit earlier, and the sell-off also started a bit earlier. So a lot of the things have been front run by about 2 to 3 weeks. Can it be the case? October, Pumptober, right? And November tend to be the best months in crypto, particularly October, because November is a bit skewed. There was a November month, I think 2013, where Bitcoin went up 400%. So basically it screws up the averages of all the other months, right? Because let's say it's 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and then 400%, right? Basically, it heavily tilts the average, but it's just one single month, 11 years ago. While I think October is more, it's the typical ramp off into the election in the beginning of November, where you usually have a little bit of a correction for the first 10 days or so. Like a week and a half after the election, and then you end up going higher. Why do you go up? Very simple. Because liquidity starts to pour into the markets, and it's already pouring into the markets, and more will come and needs to come, simply for the fact that the interest expense on the national debt is already the third largest budget item in the US, which means if you let it go for another 2 years or so, then it becomes the number one item. And basically, you just destroyed all your political expedience with your constituents. Maybe they don't care. I don't think so. Just easier to print the money. By the way, one of the things that I've been saying, if you do print money, if you do lower rates, that doesn't necessarily mean higher inflation. Look at Europe. The ECB cut rates again. The ECB has been cutting rates. Decreasing inflation. Pretty much the same way as the US, same thing in Great Britain, same thing in Japan and Canada, and China obviously fighting deflation. What it's good for, it's obviously for risk assets, and in this, crypto tends to shine because it's the smallest asset class, so it's the easiest to pump, but also because it has certain properties that invite for huge moves upwards. However, and I've said this before, during the bull market, you have plenty of pullbacks, plenty of oh my god moments where you think, oh my god, was this it? Is this over? Are we finished? We've been now for 6 months in sideways movement to negative, so I think it's good enough in terms of, in terms of rinsing people out, in terms of getting rid of the weekends, and I do think Q4 2024 will be very, very strong. As I've said, before the end of November, I do expect Bitcoin to be above 80k. I think that's a good assumption. We'll see if I'm right. And with that, guys, thank you very much for your support. Don't forget to drop that like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.